The police advised you that the car had been towed. Retrieving his vehicle landed him in jail. Next thing I know, I'm getting arrested for destruction of private property. What happened to that case? Sir, the case was dismissed. Your Honor. But these tow truck owners were tenacious. Now you were arrested again. The second time really hurt me. Your Honor. She went to a police station and said that I threatened to kill her. She said something about a crazy Islamic guy. Judge Judy, you are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. Ani Barghout is suing tow company owners Michael Nolan Jr. and his wife, Nicole, for tow fees, vehicle damage, and a false arrest. Order. All rise. Yes. Case number 26 on the calendar. In the matter of Barghout versus Nolan. Thank you. You're welcome. Judge, parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat. Mr. Barghout, your car was towed by a company that is owned by the defendants, and you claim that it was illegally towed. And as a result of that illegal tow, you and the defendants got into sort of a kerfuffle, and you were arrested not once, but twice. The first time when you went to retrieve your car, and the second time when the defendants alleged that you threatened them on the phone. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so let's first find out where and when your car was parked. When it was towed. Yes, Your Honor. On the night of November 29th. I went to downtown and I stopped. Downtown Denver. Your Honor. And I stopped at a neighborhood hangout called Charlie's. I played one game of billiards with someone. They invited me to go back to their place. They said, I live 2 blocks away. We can walk. I said, no, I just bought a brand new car. We can go in my car. They said, okay. No, don't tell me what they said. Let's just get to where your car was parked when it was towed. Yes, Your Honor. It was parked between 13th and 14th Avenue and between Pennsylvania and Pearl. Was it right near Charlie's? No, Your Honor. Was it on a public street? No, Your Honor. It was in a private apartment residence, and I parked in somebody's parking spot that does not own a vehicle. Okay. It's a private residence, a multiple dwelling. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. Not where you live. Correct, Your Honor. But where you were invited to come as a guest. Yes, Your Honor. And you parked your car in another residence spot. In the residence where I spent the night. Yes, Your Honor. Is that you? No, Your Honor. So the person who allegedly gave you permission to park in their spot is not here. No, Your Honor. That's a big mistake. You understand that. Because the first part of your claim, sir, is that your car was illegally towed, which you can't prove to me because you don't have the person who gave you permission to park there. And it's private property. You understand that? Yes, Your Honor. Okay. So now your car is towed by you. Yes, ma'am. Did you get a call from someone to come and get that car out of there? No, ma'am. We're actually under contract with the Salvation Army. It's not a parking lot that belongs to any of the apartment buildings in the area. It belongs to the Salvation Army, and it's all permit parking at all times. I have a picture of the lot. Your Honor, I'd like to see. I also have a copy of our contract with that property. Ma'am? Oh, yeah. I'd like to take a look at it. Hold on. Now, this is the parking lot that is owned by the Salvation Army. Yes, ma'am. And it's permitted. Permit parking at all times. Got it. The signs in the lot also do state permit parking only. We have pictures of the signs for the lot also. I'd like to see them. Okay. So there are signs there that say permit parking only. Yes, Your Honor. And you didn't have a permit. Yes, Your Honor. Okay. Now, what happened? Sir, when you got down and found your car had been towed, well, I spent the night at the apartment building, not the Salvation Army. And when I woke up in the morning, my car was missing. And so I contacted the police department to report the car stolen. At that time, I found out that the car had been towed to Mile High. Just a second. How did you find that out? Sir, because every car that gets towed has to be reported to the police, so that if you think it's stolen like I did, you find out where your car was towed. So the police advised you that the car had been towed. Yes, Your Honor. Okay. And at what time was this in the morning? And what date? 11 May. On the 30th. And I first called defendants. And the first person to pick up the phone was Mrs. Nicole Craven. And she said something about a crazy Islamic guy. And after I heard that statement, I took my phone and I recorded the rest of the phone calls. And the defendants refused to give the vehicle back for money or for anything. Well, I'd like to hear, I'm not releasing the vehicle until the owner of the car calls me and says, go to jail. This is the owner and I'm not going to jail. I'll show up with the police. Okay, you have me confused with someone else. I want my vehicle back. Really? Because I got you on camera. That's good for you. You have someone else on camera. I want my vehicle back. Well, meet me down there at 1 o'clock with the police then. I will have them there. How much is the car to get out? $268. Cash only. Okay, you got it. Okay, now, what happened when you arrived there on the 30th with the police? I showed up with $400 in my pocket, just in case it was a little bit more. With the police. With the police. My witness met me at the Shell gas station at 31st and Brighton, which is 4 blocks away from the defendant's business. And when we showed up with the police, they just said, it's him. It's him. He's the one that took a rock to our truck. And next thing I know, I'm getting arrested for destruction of private property. So you were arrested. Now tell me what theory you had to cause him to be arrested. If I may go back to the night of the 29th when the vehicle was impounded. We did our clearance through Denver police, dropped it at the impound yard. The 3 of us, including our witness, continued to check properties that we have contracts for. Gordon telephoned us and said, hey, there's someone in your impound yard. And I kind of gave him some grief over it being funny. And he said, no, I'm serious. There's someone in your impound yard. That was you. Yes. Could you stand up? Please. Your name is Gordon what? Gordon Doherty. Mr. Doherty. Do you work for them? No. I have my own tow company. So you were also working on the night of the 29th? Yes. I was helping him out. And tell me what you saw. When I pulled into his front gate, I observed a gentleman in the far corner, and I seen his head going up and down like he was peeking over the fence. I called Mike and said, hey, somebody's in your yard. They showed up shortly after that. Mike got out. I got out. We confronted him. What time was this? It was 11 o'clock at night. 11 at night. 12 at night. And what happened? Mike asked him why. I asked him what he was doing in our yard. He was very nice. No, don't tell me. And was this the gentleman who was there? Yes, ma'am. And I initially had the confrontation with him. Ma'am? Well, tell me what the initial confrontation was. After I gave Gordon grief on the phone and we pulled up into the impound yard, I hopped out of the truck. And when I come around the south side of our impound yard, which is about a 10-foot high fence, I see a gentleman resembling the plaintiff drop down from our 10-foot high fence. And I was nose to nose. He had a distinctively longer beard with a hoodie and a hood over his head. And I used some bad words. And, what are you doing here? And then my husband and Gordon were next to me. And they dealt with the rest of the confrontation. We're going to call the cops. Stay here. You have no right to be there. And he took off on foot. They chased him. I stayed at the impound yard on the phone with the police. Your Honor, when I went to pick up the car and I had the civil assist, the police asked them, why didn't you call the police when this alleged thing happened? And I don't remember what their answer was. We had called the night before 911. You have proof of that. No, ma'am. We don't. Okay. I would like to see the complaint that you say you were arrested on, because what they say is different from what you tell me. You heard her say to the police that they threw a rock, vandalized your truck. So I'd like to see that. And the rock did take place after they left to go chasing. I didn't hear that. I gave you every opportunity to say anything that you wanted. And I didn't hear anything about a rock. Well, you said Miss Craven then related to the RO that defendant was positively identified as the suspect who threw a rock at one of her tow trucks during the early morning hours of November 30th and wanted to press charges. Defendant was taken into custody without incident. He was jailed. What happened to that case? Sir, the case was dismissed. Your Honor, I'd like to see it. And the defendants, I'd like to see it. Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor. Dismissed on motion of prosecution on March 27th. Did you go to trial on this case? Yes, Your Honor. On the day of trial, the defendants who were subpoenaed by the city attorney were too busy towing trucks in Pueblo, Colorado. They didn't come. The courts called us and asked us if we were available for trial. They said it wasn't necessary for us to come in because I don't know anything about that. And that's hearsay. So the answer is you didn't go to court. You didn't go to court. And that case was dismissed. Yes. Now you were arrested again. The second time really hurt me. Your Honor, I was sleeping in my car in a parking lot and I paid $5 to be on private land. And I was having dreams. And I was woken up by 10 police on the 25th of June. Your Honor, June 25th. Yes, but you'd already gotten your car out of the parking lot. Yes, but I didn't know that the day I got my car out of the impound that she went to the police station and said that I threatened to kill her. And I got arrested 6 months later, sleeping in my car. I woke up with 10 police around me. A fire truck? An ambulance? Undercover cars and police cars. I thought they were going to start shooting. What happened with that case? That case was also dismissed. Was the case set for trial? No. The district attorney dismissed it because the defendant used a different name at a different police station. He'd never done that. Your Honor, he didn't find her credible, so he threw it out. Plus, they didn't show up to the first case. And I have the police report where I used my name, my real name, to file a police report. Well, tell me about the incident that you were complaining about where you felt threatened. So, we had received a call on the business line with a gentleman stating he'd like to make an appointment to pick up his car. Wanted to pick up his car. And I asked what car. That's our procedure to make appointments. Come on. Come on. Stop looking like an innocent. You are not an innocent. I know that, and you know that. Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today, is that correct? Yes. That she gave you the money. Yes. So you spent it. Yeah. On yourself. Yes. Now the check comes back and it's a bad check. Correct. So what possible defense do you have? Real cases. Real people. Judge Judy. Honey Bargoat says tow company owners Michael Nolan Jr. and his wife Nicole offer tow fees, vehicle damage, and a false arrest. So let's go. You got a call from the defendant. Now out of jail and he wants to pick up his car. And I asked his car and his name, and I told him by order of police he had to come with a third party. I wasn't releasing it directly to him. And he said some explicits and I'll kill you. And I hung up. He called back a few more times. I called the police and I filed the report December 1st. When were you advised by the police in writing that he had to have a third party with him? Not in writing. Never. That's too bad. Well, that's too bad. Okay. So let me tell you what your lawsuit is requesting. Your lawsuit is requesting $5. UCI 0 for 3 different things. 1 for an illegal tow. And I do not believe your car was illegally towed. I believe your car was legally towed. And you sort of acknowledge that your car was legally towed. The other 2 things that you are suing for is for false arrest and for the time that you spent in jail, that I am finding in your favor. I find her totally incredible. I think she's a liar, and if somebody else is lying along with her, then that's very unfortunate. So you can sit down now. Your Honor, your company together are the defendants. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested 5 times. None of this looks are. We're done. I'm very happy. I think she really saw the effort I put into defending. It's pretty unfortunate. You know, this guy, these baseless accusations, obviously has, I'm glad that these tow truck drivers see that you can't just go around and more issues going on than his car right now and say whatever you want to the police and expect there to be no consequences. Glad it's over. And now the next case, all parties in the matter of Zatina versus Vane. Step forward. Eleanor Zatina is suing her former friend, Daniel Vane, for 2 bad checks she cashed on his behalf. Mrs. Zatina, the defendant was doing some work for you. You knew him for a while, and he had remodeled a bathroom for you. That was a couple of years ago. Yes. When did he come to you with this check that he needed cashed? In October of 2015. Prior to October of 2015. When was the last time you had seen him? I really don't know. It's probably soon after he finished with my bathroom. And when was that? Was it 2012? So several years before. A couple of years before? And what did he tell you about the reason why he needed you to cash this check? He hadn't seen you in a while. Actually, I offered to cash the check. It looked like a legitimate cashier's check. Well, he came to you. You hadn't seen him in 3 years. I hadn't seen him. Well, he came to me. Did he call you? He came to my house and asked if he could stay in my pickup because he didn't have a place to stay. His family kicked him out of his house. So I let him stay in my pickup. And he had just finished a job helping a man do a deck or something like that. And he was waiting for the payment. And when he got the check, he showed it to me. And it was for quite a bit of money. And I offered to cash it because I thought it looked like a legitimate cashier's check. I have a copy of it here. I'd like to take a look at it. Here's the check. And here's where my credit union is. That's that check. And then my credit union sent it back to me saying that it was altered or fictitious. Now, when you cashed it for him, 2.7 fine. Did you give him the cash? Yes. And is that correct? Yes. That she gave you the money? Yes. And what did you do with the money? I used it to move down to Tennessee. My daughters live in Tennessee, and I wanted to be closer to them. So you spent it. Yeah. You spent the money. Yes. On yourself. Yes. And your needs. Yes. Now the check comes back and it's a bad check. Correct? So what possible defense do you have? Judge Judy continues in a moment. And then I cashed another check for him that I found was completely fraudulent. Well, that's your problem. You know, stupid is as stupid does. If somebody gave me a bad check and disappeared, I didn't disappear. Real cases. Real people. Judge Judy. Eleanor Zatina says former friend Daniel Vane owes for 2 bad checks she cashed on his behalf. Now, what possible defense do you have? It was unintentional that the check was bad. Who cares? You spent the money. That's what you usually do with money. When you do work and you get money, you spend it. No, but you spent the money. You didn't do work for her. I had no idea the check was bad until a month later. It doesn't matter. You spent the money. Right, Mr. Vane. You allegedly did work for somebody and got a check. Correct? For the work that you did? So you got paid to do this and you took the money and you did what most people do. They spend it on their needs. Moving. You moved to Tennessee. You took an apartment. You did whatever you had to do. You spent it on yourself. Correct. Who you didn't do work for, ended up paying for all your expenses that you did. In fact, do you understand? Yes. You use them and she's out $2. Yes, fine. Correct. Do you understand? Yes, I do. So I don't have to do the paper game with you. She has it. You don't have it. Then it's out of her bank and you've spent it already. So you did what you intended to do when you allegedly worked for this alleged company. Correct? You took the money and you spent it. Correct? She's out the money. Yes. So what possible excuse do you have for not giving her back the money? I went back to her home after things didn't work out in Tennessee. I stayed there for approximately a month, maybe a little bit over. During that time, I did work for her. How much money did you give? Just a second. How much money did you give her for rent when you were staying there? None. I actually did much work for her during that month that I lived there. Show me the contract. We were friends at the time. I didn't believe we had to have it. It was a verbal agreement. What? I have the other check. The whole amount that I'm suing for is for more than just one check. Why? Because I still thought he was going to be fined for the check. Because on Facebook chats, he said he's trying to get in touch with the guy that wrote the check. Because I thought the guy wrote him a bad check. Yeah, I was written a bad check. I don't care. He spent the money. And then I cashed another check for him that I found was completely fraudulent. Well, that's your problem. You know, stupid is as stupid does. If you cashed one check for him that bounced, and then you cashed another check for him that bounced, he's written other bad checks. I just found that out. He has a criminal history. Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by Want Justice. Go to Judge Judy. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Now, Mrs. Satina, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Madam, if somebody gave me a bad check and disappeared, I didn't disappear. And disappeared. And then comes back and doesn't make good on the check to you. And if you're foolish enough to cash another check for him, you're going to eat the second check. Do you understand? Yes. Burn me once. Shame on you. Burn me twice. Shame on me. And don't get the courts involved in foolishness and foolish behavior. 27. Listen to my judgment for the plaintiff. I explained to you the word, you are excused. You may step out. Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy, Miss Satina is an absolute saint. She helped me when I was down and out. I love the woman to death. The thing is that I still thought he was honest. And I feel really bad for what had happened. The check looked like a legitimate cashier's check. I was unintentionally. I received a check, and I thought he had been scammed from someone. It was unintentional. So that's why I cashed the second check. That it was a bounce. That it was a bad check. After I cashed the check, he went missing. She offered to cash it. It was cashed. And I was worried because I was concerned about him. And I stayed with her for an entire month. He was in jail. I did many jobs. I feel that we were even. I'm not going to trust him again. I wouldn't trust me either. But it's not me. It wasn't me. I didn't bounce the check. It was those people. So I wish you would understand that not trusting those people would be the right way to go instead of not trusting me.